Welcome to the Best of Portland. I'm Steve Hall, your host, and my guest today is Jeffrey Knight, one of the most respected hypnotists in Portland. Jeffrey's been in practice for over 17 years, and he also runs what many consider the top training school for professional hypnotists in Oregon, the Knightsbridge Institute. We all know about the obesity epidemic in this country, and if you think it's not a big problem, just go to the mall. One of the things that the CDC said is their costs is over $150 billion a year in healthcare. Just to put that in perspective, that's more than is spent in all the cancers put together. Now, hypnosis and weight loss has been well known. It's been done for many years, but there's a new procedure that I was really excited to learn about, and I understand Jeffrey is using it, and I wanted to talk to him about it. So what I'm going to do is play a short clip for you from Good Morning America about it, this new procedure, and then I'm looking forward to hearing what Jeffrey is going to say about it. So here's the clip.
As the obesity epidemic continues to spread, more and more Americans are turning to surgery as the way to lose weight. But what if you could reap all the benefits of surgery without having to undergo the knife? Juju has more on this potential power of hypnosis. It's so strong.
That is the question. Could you trick your mind into thinking that you had surgery? Now, hypnosis is so widely acceptable. In fact, an NIH study reports that 2/3 of all doctors say they refer patients for hypnosis when appropriate. But could you actually trick your subconscious into believing you'd had bariatric surgery? For one woman that I met, the proof is in the pounds. Marianne Zega is on a gurney, about to have gastric band surgery. She smells anesthetic, hears operating room staff, and feels doctors putting a band around her stomach. It's an operation that happens tens of thousands of times a year. But what makes this procedure unique is that none of it is real.
You feel relaxed.
It's all taking place in Marianne's mind. It's called gastric mind band, and it's done through hypnosis. The treatment is the brainchild of hypnotherapists Martin and Marian Sheeran, who run a clinic in Europe. They got the idea a few years ago from a patient.
So my next door neighbour's just been in hospital and paid a lot of money, had a gastric band fitted, and I just thought maybe if I came in to see you, you could hypnotise me to make me think I've had one done. Much cheaper, no surgery. And
a clever patient.
Yeah.
The idea is to fight obesity mentally. The intensive 4-day program also includes behavior therapy to help patients understand what triggers their eating and resist temptation. But it culminates in the gastric band hypnosis session.
We create smells into the room and have background noises, because the more senses that are involved in the whole process, the stronger the suggestion is.
I have to say, it sounds like you're waving a magic wand over someone. Is that what this is?
No, it's far from that. It's got to come from the person themselves. The shrimp are good.
Which brings us back to Marianne. Last year, at 325 pounds, she was ready for a change after struggling with her weight for most of her 47 years.
My weight controlled my life. I was more a homebody. It probably prevented me from dating a lot and just doing everyday things.
You were really this close to trying the surgery.
Yes, I already went to my doctor, consulted with her.
But instead of surgery, she went to see Hazel Newsom, the only hypnotherapist in the U.S. trained by the Sheerans in the gastric mind band.
We've had weight loss hypnosis for quite some time. This is different.
Yes, they absolutely do believe that they have a smaller capacity to eat. Yes.
So in your mind, you have a band around your stomach.
Yes.
And that feels real to you?
Yes. Immediately after I left, I felt different.
How long did it take before the weight started coming off?
It just felt like it melted off of my body overnight.
This is her before, this is her now.
Yesterday was 10 months and I've lost 120 pounds.
How do you explain how that happened?
Through my subconscious, through my mind. My mind controls what goes into my body.
Their European clinic has been so successful, the Sheerans will now offer their $3,000 therapy here in New York.
I'm a journalist, so I'm paid to be skeptical, because $3,000 is an awful lot of money to be paying for what is essentially an unproven treatment.
Type 2 diabetes is also very, very expensive on your health. I don't actually know whether you can compare, if you can put a price on it, what someone's getting.
You have a 6-month waiting list. What explains that, do you think, Marion?
Because word has spread now, we've had such a good success rate.
Over the course of the last 4 years, we've treated just over 400 people with this treatment. The success rate has been very, very high, over 74%.
There's been no sort of rigorous scientific study of whether or not your process works yet. And in many ways, it's unproven.
You're dead right. You know, a pure medical paper will probably be the next step for us.
But Marianne has all the proof she needs. She says she doesn't just have a new body, but a new life as well.
How would you describe yourself then versus now?
I'm dating. I go out a lot more. I'm more confident. I feel like I'm living my life now.
So you genuinely feel like a changed woman?
I do.
So uplifting. Now, the head of the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis says it's hard to find a field that hasn't used hypnosis successfully. Everything from quitting smoking to irritable bowel syndrome, and especially for pain management, childbirth, and even for some patients, surgery.
I'm very happy for Marianne. And he talked about the success rate. Is it proven?
It's a very high success rate, but it's their numbers. They're reporting 400 patients, 74%. I said, but it's basically unproven until you get it published and peer-reviewed. And they said, look, we're eager to do that because that's the next step for us. If we can get that kind of scientific documentation, we can offer it more widely. Insurance companies would pay for it, and that's the key.
That is the key. All right, Juju, fascinating to say the least. Thank you.
So, Jeffrey, I need to know a little bit more about hypnosis. This is such an exciting subject, especially with the hypnoband thing there. Now, I understand, according to the study, that over 2/3 of doctors these days are accepting hypnosis, and I understand you're actually getting referrals from doctors. What part do you play in this?
When I get oncologists sending me cancer patients.
Really?
Very often to help them getting over the shock of having a cancer and getting them through radiation or chemotherapy. I get referrals from doctors on weight where the patient won't lose weight for some emotional reason.
Okay. So
and the hypnosis can go into the emotional reason and find out the cause, reframe the cause, and then hopefully that person starts to lose weight.
Okay. So reframing the cause, how do you find that cause? I mean, you're talking about emotional issues. How do you find it and resolve it? I mean, take me a little bit into that.
It's called regression. In the unconscious mind, you have a huge memory database, which is unavailable to the conscious mind. You can only access it in deep hypnosis. So very often a thought pattern is formed in childhood, and the people just can't understand why they can't change because of this embedded thought pattern. So you can go back into childhood, find out how it started, why it started, when it started, who started it, and then it's called reframing. You put it in a different picture frame, and you convince the unconscious mind that you have to change yourself now.
Amazing. So if you had some childhood trauma that caused you to act the way you, some obsessive compulsive disorder like overeating, you could actually go back and help them find out what that situation was and reframe it so that that didn't happen again? Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
Okay. And then in the cancer patients, it was something about pain management, that having the change, being able to go through the cancer?
Yes, giving them the confidence and esteem that they will get through the cancer. They got a very good chance of doing that.
Oh, okay.
And also people, when you have chemotherapy, it's very helpful to help people get through chemotherapy, because very often people feel it nauseous and it really upsets them. And doing self-hypnosis is very helpful to get through that.
Okay. One of the other ones you talked told me about was a concert pianist or violinist, something like that, and he came to you for more confidence to get through some of his tests or interviews or something like that?
Yeah, I recently had a trumpeter.
Okay.
Who went for interviews with one of the leading orchestras. And he's, you know, the competition is pretty hard. He's up against 30 other people.
Right.
And when he got nervous, he would start to sweat more, and the sweat would come over his lips, and he wouldn't be able to play his trumpet so well.
Okay.
And so it's wonderful for training someone to get up and make a speech, or to have their mind really going when they take an exam so that they get the best marks, or to get through an interview, or to pass this particular incident and become the trumpeter that you're selected.
So this can be used to be more effective in anything from testing to childhood regression to being a better performance as a world-class trumpeter. Pretty exciting stuff. What does it take to become a hypnotist?
You have to be trained by a reputable school. And there are a number of, I think there are 5 schools in Oregon. I run a school teaching it. It's called the Knightsbridge Institute. I do 175 hours of training spread over 7 months.
Wow.
The Oregon Hypnotherapy Association is a very reputable association. They require at least 150 hours of training before you can become a member. And you can go to the Oregon Hypnotherapy site and check people out.
Right. You should choose your hypnotist as you choose any of your other doctors.
Check them out, absolutely, yeah. See how much experience they've got, who they were trained by.
So clinical hypnotherapy is what you do.
Yes.
What are some of the most interesting cases that you've ever had?
Well, I will see anything between 3 and 5 clients 5 days a week.
Okay.
I think some of the most interesting hypnotherapy I've done is eating disorders.
Okay.
Hypnosis is great for fixing bulimia, anorexia nervosa, because it's all about, it's mental, it's totally mental. Those people think that they're fat, and in fact they're slim and underweight. It's very tragic, a very high percentage, up to 20% of anorexics will die of starvation.
Because their picture in their mind is distorted in some way.
Correct, yeah.
And I would imagine that goes back to some kind of event somewhere in their lives where they got an idea that they were overweight. I think I also remember a story about a golfer. You told me about a lady that played golf. That was her thing. And you were able to help her improve her golf game?
I was able to help her, and she started winning competitions. Now, hypnosis is employed in sports, professional sports, very extensively, and golfing comes at the top of the list. Everyone from Tiger Woods down on the PGA circuit, or the top circuit, are taught hypnosis.
Wow.
Tennis players, skiers, ski jumpers. I've taught people how to play better soccer using their periphery vision from hypnosis, widely performed in the world of sport.
Well, I guess if anybody wants to know more about you or hypnosis, they should just go to your website, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jeffrey.
That's a pleasure.
This is Steve Hall for the Best of Portland, and I want to thank Jeffrey Knight for coming on to the program, and it's a very interesting subject. I hope to have him back on again. Thank you and good night.